This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
With the legend that is Joe Schad. How you feeling, baby? You feeling good? You close to 100% or what?
Much better, Big O. Thanks for asking. Still got a little bit of a cough, but I am much better, on the mend.
Yeah, those colds can last, man, 2-3 weeks. So they're nasty, man. They'll stay with you for a little while. So hang in there, my brother. Plenty of liquids, and you'll get rid of it soon. And by the way, next time, little Nature B, protect yourself. Get those 2 golden capsules in your system every day, my brother. That's the extra protection that you need right there. All right, so Tua needs some extra protection, and not from Nature B, although that will help, but really Teron Armstead. So what are you hearing, bro? Because really, this is what's going to make or break the free agent cycle right here. You get Teron Armstead, successful free agent cycle. You don't get Teron Armstead, you kind of walk away a little uneasy, unhappy, unsatisfied.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at what other AFC contenders have done, they've loaded up. I mean, you could argue that 8 of the teams that the Dolphins are competing with for an AFC playoff spot have improved their rosters, some very significantly. And general manager Chris Grier knows that he had to come away with a veteran, proven, capable, stabilizing offensive tackle, whether it was on the left or the right side. But, you know, a lot of people are saying, man, why not a right tackle? Why not a right tackle? You know what? Even though Tua Tagovailoa is left-handed, the left tackle position is still extremely important. And adding a Teron Armstead, which I fully expect will happen. Who comes to South Florida? Who comes to South Florida? Who comes to South Florida and decides to leave? It doesn't happen, baby. Once you get off that plane.
I just love that confidence. I love that confidence.
Teron Armstead wouldn't have gotten on that plane if he didn't want to be here. Chris Grier knows he needs to get the deal done. It's going to get done. And unless something comes up in the medical about the knee that's just very, very frightening, that's the thing they got to check. They got to check the health. And I understand Armstead has missed a lot of games due to various injuries, particularly concerned about the knee. But this is going to be a good move for the Dolphins, a necessary signing.
Oh, and listen, in the end, you kind of hit on it. He has to make this happen, Joe. Chris Grier can't allow him to leave because you will then have your doubts. You're putting even more pressure on this coaching staff to fix this offensive line. And in the end, you needed an injection of a couple of veterans on this line. One of them is not enough, really. I don't believe all these guys are terrible. I believe a couple of them will end up panning out, which will end up becoming what the average is. Out of those 5 guys, you should get 2 or 3 that are good. So if you can get a couple of those guys good and get the veterans in there, then you're fine. But without Armstead, this creates a real problem for them still, and it puts a ton of pressure on them to build a line.
Yeah, you don't want Austin Jackson or Liam Eichenberg as your first-string left tackle going into the spring. You want Teron Armstead as your first-team left tackle, a guy who's been to 4 Pro Bowls, a guy who's 30 years old, a guy who is physical and mobile and agile and strong and has a mean streak and is a good team leader. I mean, you haven't had a left tackle like this since Laramie Tunsil.
Right.
Kind of reminds me of Brandon Albert in terms of a guy who had done it. And I know that Brennan had some injury problems, but you got to roll the dice here. You bring this guy in, and then you say, okay, let's figure out if Rob Hunt is best suited for right tackle or right guard. Settle that, and then let Liam Eichenberg and Austin Jackson compete for the other spot. It's a much better situation for the Dolphins. I know that Chris Grier isn't ready to give up on Hunt, Eichenberg in particular, and even Jackson. But Jackson competing at backup left tackle, backup left guard, backup right tackle is much better than saying we need to start Austin Jackson.
Amen. Yes. Amen. No, yeah. I'd rather have a bunch of guys battling for that swing tackle job, which is what Austin Jackson will be battling for, because I think Eichenberg will be the right tackle and obviously Armstead will be the left tackle when it's all said and done. So I think that will end up settling that. Just question, how come there hasn't, well, at least it doesn't seem like it or anything like that, but what have you heard about the center position? Because we haven't really seen their names attached to any of the free agents.
Now, listen, you don't have to pay a lot for a center. You pay your tackles 10 to 20 million. The centers, you can get one for 2 million or 1.5 million. There's always centers.
Okay.
I'm not worried about center. They're going to add a center, whether it's in free agency or the draft. I would not pencil in Michael Dieter as your starting center. They're going to add a center to compete. Remember last year they had Matt Skura. Now, Matt Skura didn't make it,
Right.
But that's an example of the kind of guy you can add. Not worried about center.
So let me ask you, as I'm sure you've asked around, have they been in the mix for any of the top centers? Because obviously once Brady came back, nobody was going to get Jensen anyway. But like J.C. Tretter's still out there. He's a damn good player, Joe. And where you and I are going to disagree a little bit, I'm going to go with the Sean Payton philosophy, where Sean Payton made sure that Drew Brees had exceptional centers and guards because he did not want that pocket to ever crumble. He actually took more chances on his tackles than he did his guards and his centers. If you go look at the history, he made sure he had elite players in those positions. So I believe the same thing with short quarterbacks. I believe you need to be elite in the middle. You've got to give that short quarterback a beautiful pocket so he can step in and have passing lanes too, which is very, very important. So that's where I disagree with you. So, but I'm asking you, did you hear of them being interested in J.C. Tretter or any of the maybe more elite tackles that were available, elite centers that were available?
There was some talk that they might have been interested in Jensen early in the process. Obviously, that became a non-starter once Tom Brady came back. I don't know about their level of interest in J.C. Tretter. Obviously, he's a guy who's a very accomplished center, maybe not quite the player he was a few years ago. But you have to put the odds of Michael Dieter starting at center at 50%. So I think it's as likely that there's someone else starting at center for the Dolphins as it is Michael Dieter. Now, Michael Dieter, hard worker, improved.
He did. He played better this year.
Was buried and but he's a big dude, and I think when you look at the zone offense, you want very mobile, athletic dudes. You'd be more likely to move, from inside out than outside in.
Right.
So we'll see.
Okay. Anything else are you hearing in free agency for the Dolphins right now?
Well, I mean, obviously they need a punter. They're going to keep their ears open for a return type. But I mean they brought back a lot of guys on defense. Obviously they believe that they don't really need to augment their defense at all. This gives them some. You sign Armstead now, it gives you some flexibility with that 20.
Let me run this by you. Let me run this by you. Could it be that they're thinking this? If we improve the offense and we can run the ball and we can punch people in the mouth and control the clock a little bit on this side, our defense will get better just from that, really. Because if our offense is going 3 and out all the time like it was before, well, then obviously all the pressure falls on the defense. Our defense is fine. We got to improve our offense. By improving our offense, our defense will automatically get better.
You added Teron Armstead, you added Connor Williams, you added Raheem Mostert, you added Chase Edmonds, you add an Alec Ingold. All of a sudden, your running game is looking a heck of a lot better. And in a time where so many NFL teams are going pass, Mike McDaniel wants to go against the grain, and that is going to help Tua Tagovailoa. That's going to give him a better chance to succeed. If Armstead, man, there's no reason this wouldn't get done unless there's some medical thing that pops up.
I agree
But
with you.
this completely changes the outlook of Dolphins free agency. I mean, without an Armstead, you're looking at like a C grade. With an Armstead, you're looking at, maybe a BB plus. That's how much this one player matters.
Damn, I'm giving an A to them. You were also brutal like Allen. He didn't want to give him an A either if they signed Armstead.
I had my landscape company, Big O, you'll appreciate this. My landscape company, very good landscape. Do we have a landscape sponsor?
No, not yet, but we could use one.
I bet you these folks would like to sponsor one of our segments. So
let's do it.
The lady emails me. She goes, "Hey, would you do me a favor and put a nice review on Angie's or Google review?" I said, "Sure." So I wrote all these nice things: reputable, reliable, communicative, attention to detail, all this. And then I gave them 4 out of 5 stars because I thought, well, 5 stars, like I can't really give anybody 5 stars. She was upset. She wanted to know, what could we have done better? Where did we go wrong? And I looked at the reviews and I looked it up. It was like 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. I was the only knucklehead with 4. So my question to you is this:
what is wrong with you? Why are you so hard on people?
4 stars out of 5. Is 4 stars out of 5 an indication of needs improvement? Is a B to Chris Greer an indication of needs improvement?
You just said they kick ass and they're good enough to be a sponsor on our show, and you give them 4 stars. What the hell's wrong with you?
Well, 4.5 is not available on Google review.
5, baby. Okay, Edge Energy gets 5. After Pembroke Pines gets 5.
Drafting Tom Brady
gets 5.
Drafting Tom Brady is like a 5. Drafting Xavier Howard is like a 5 in the 2nd round. All right, it's hard to get a 5. It's hard. 5 out of 5.
Man, they gave you good service. They did a really good job, and you jobbed them of a star. Damn, I tell you.
Chris Greer, 5 out of 5.
And going back to the Dolphins, you can't give them an A if they get Armstead. They get a left tackle. They get a left guard.
Look, I don't know what
fullback.
Listen,
I think they got a slot receiver because I believe this new kid is going to be the slot, and I think Waddle's going to the outside. I think they did a lot of things that they filled a lot of needs that they had to have. I just think, you know what I think it is? I think some of you guys have the Mike Tannenbaum disease. Not enough new shiny objects. So if they're not new shiny objects, but they're just kind of important objects, it's not enough.
Yeah, I understand your point. I think it's also true that Connor Williams is an upgrade over Austin Jackson at left guard. Yeah. But it is true that I believe he led offensive linemen in the NFL in penalties. So we got to get that cleaned up.
Okay, but see, this is the problem I don't like about sometimes how we approach these things. His first 3 years, he had 10 holding penalties.
Yeah, I think it's going to get cleaned up.
Last year, he had 11. How come we don't say that maybe last year was an aberration because normally he doesn't commit that many penalties? But no, we label it like he's penalty prone, and this is who he is, when in 4 years, he only had 1 bad year of penalties. You know what I mean? It's kind of crazy.
No, I like the Connor Williams signing, but we have to see how these things play out. You know, how does Chase Edmonds deal with perhaps a career high in carries? Can Raheem Mostert stay healthy? I mean, I hope so, but we don't know. Is Cedric Wilson, ready to emerge as a star, or did he reach his peak performance when Cowboys receivers were out last year? I think the Dolphins have done a solid job in free agency. And I do agree that, look at like the Jaguars. Look at how much money they paid 2 very average receivers. Dolphins don't need to do that. General Manager Chris Greer has not done that. Was it Zay Jones was one guy? And who was the other Jaguars receiver? I'm trying to remember.
The naked wide receiver.
Cardinals, right?
A lot of money.
Christian Kirk.
Do you know the Zay Jones story? Do you know the Zay Jones story?
Yeah, you told me last time.
Can we do that in your segment? Okay, all right.
Yeah.
All right.
But the Dolphins, listen, low income tax, beautiful weather, beautiful facilities, an energetic, positive-minded head coach who has a reputation of being a really smart dude. There's no reason that these people shouldn't want to come play here.
Right. No, I'm with you.
They
And
absolutely should.
I think if you're an offensive lineman, you want to play with these kind of guys because they're one, and you've been around them on college and the NFL, and nothing changes. You're going to run the ball a lot. Oh, linemen love that shit. You're going to pass them. No, dude, I get beat up more than I get to beat on people. No. So that's the other thing that people don't realize. You tell a lineman they get to run more than pass, they're going to go, oh, that's my kind of game right there. I get to beat people up. Because
And Armstead is
unfortunately,
a guy,
when you're pass blocking, you're dropping back, taking punishment constantly. It's
and
brutal.
Teron Armstead, the guy that the Dolphins are about to sign to play left tackle, yes, he's a very solid pass protector, but he's also good in the run game.
Yes, he is.
And
He's a good player.
what one thing I'm curious to see is, could Austin Jackson benefit from being around a Teron Armstead?
Oh, for sure, dude. Of
What
course.
what if one day he gets a chance to try left tackle again? Now, I'm not ready to say that Austin Jackson can undoubtedly never play left tackle in the NFL.
Oh.
He was better as a rookie than he was in his second year.
Yeah, Joe, he had no support, bro. I get it. He was terrible. It's hard to believe in Austin Jackson, all that, but I'm going to give all those guys a break because they weren't really coached up.
2 years ago, Jackson and Hunt were the tackles, right? Think about that.
Yes.
Think about that.
Yeah, well, wasn't Jesse also the tackle instead of Hunt? Hunt moved around a little bit, right?
Hunt 2 years ago, Hunt played more at tackle than guard, right? I don't know. I feel like he played a lot of tackle as a rookie.
I thought Jesse ended up still playing more than he did on that side, but maybe you're right. But either way, my point is that now is when, if they get this line going, then now we can actually get to measure all of these guys. Dieter, Eichenberg, everybody now, even Solomon Kinley, a kid that's been forgotten. And who knows, maybe, although this system, I don't know, he's more of a phone booth guy. He's not really he's not really a pull run guy.
Yeah, I don't think it's a fit. The Robert Jones fella, he's interesting, right?
Yes, he is.
Could he be a factor, a tackle or guard at some point?
Yeah, and that's a guy that we don't talk about, that you just never know. And one of the things you nailed, Joe, not giving up on Jackson. You know how many offensive linemen have had crappy careers in their first 1, 2, 3 years sometimes? A lot. There's a lot of them that struggle early in their careers, and they don't figure it out till a while later, and then they become good players. And we've seen it. Even Billy Turner left here, and it took him a few years to figure it out, and the guy's playing in the league for a long time. You know what I mean? So
Eichenberg and Jackson completely lost confidence last year. They had no confidence. And these guys, Applebaum, McDaniel, Smith, they're going to rebuild their confidence. I firmly believe that they're going to be in a much better mental place, which will help them have a better chance to succeed on the field.
All right, get the hell out of here because I know you got work to do here at 1 o'clock with the Dolphins. Appreciate you as always. Follow him on Twitter at Schad Joe. More importantly, folks, please subscribe to the Palm Beach Post, all right? And support our local journalists.
And my new newsletter.
They need your support. It can't be only this show supporting our local journalists, okay? We need you guys also. Oh, yeah, exactly. Get into the newsletter like I do. All right, Joe, do your thing, my brother. We'll catch up later in the week.
See you, bud.
You got it. There you go. There's our American Dream Lending.com Miami Dolphins reports.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.